Good evening, everyone, my dear colleagues. Welcome to Inget Zoom Series 33. This evening, our guest is Professor Dr. Gonca Yangın-Ekşi. Gonca Hocam is a professor of ELT at Gazi Faculty of Education, Gazi University. She has several national and international publications on various issues in ELT. Her interest areas are ICT integration in teacher education, teacher training, and professional development. Gonca Hocam, thank you very much for accepting to be our guest this evening. We are really excited to have you as our guest. So the screen is all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Such a nice weather, actually. I like heavy rain, thunder, but it might cause some connection problems or power cuts. I hope it won't, actually. Aydan Hocam, should I admit newcomers?
No, I'm dealing with them. You just go ahead and do your
Okay,
section.
well, I'm not going to distract myself.
No.
Today, we're going to talk about ourselves. I mean, teachers, we talk about students all the time, dealing with students, identifying students, focusing on their individual differences, noticing that this is important in how successfully they learn. We talk about curriculums, educational reforms, whatever, but we as teachers are very important in this process. I mean, whether there would be success in the end or not. When we're talking about the individual differences of students, maybe we should also look at the individual differences of teachers, because individual teachers are different and they make a difference, actually. And okay, so today, actually, we'll be doing some self-reflection, looking at ourselves and define the concept teachers' professional agency and have a look at it, see how agentic we are maybe as teachers. And I do hope it would raise some awareness, and maybe in the end we will take some action as well. Okay, here is a mirror. Now it's time to look at ourselves. Okay, I'm also looking at the chat box, by the way. I want you to look at this mirror and see yourself as a teacher. And could you just write some adjectives here describing you as a teacher? Good, innovative, young, understanding, friendly, sarcastic. Good, responsible, a student's teacher. Okay, self-reflective, great qualities, actually. Tolerant teachers, caring, hardworking, and funny. Yeah, patient. We have all people's jobs require patience. Teachers come on the front, trying to do my best. Passionate, friendly, great adjectives. Well, you are here on Friday evening. On a Friday evening, trying to improve yourself. Definitely, you deserve all good adjectives. And a lifelong learner, a teacher is. Okay. Great, diligent. What else? I think we're a bit done. Okay. So, more or less, great adjectives, okay? Hardworking, grateful, passionate, creative, caring for our students, tolerant, dedicated, with commitment, whatever, motivated, energetic. Good. Now what I want to do is another question. Please, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to answer it, okay? But I want, teachers are never rich, by the way. Although they, sacrifice a lot, they do a lot. Good teachers they deserve everything, but probably not much money in practice. So what I want you to do is, I'm going to ask you a question. Answer to yourself. Okay. One more question. Here are two illustrations, the pictures. Everyone's age is, I think, quite enough to remember the first one. It was, well, they were He-Man and She-Ra having the power. And the other one is Küçük Emrah. Which one describes you? Just think about it. Okay. You don't have to answer plainly, but at least be honest to yourself. Just think about what kind of a person you are. Which one do you feel, which one best or better describes you? Okay, great. So this is kind of related with, I'm going to talk about this one, the same question once again, okay? But first of all, this is about our attitude towards life, okay? What do we do when things happen? Do we take take the initiative? Do things, take charge in changing things, or maybe do we just complain? This is mainly the question. Let me define teachers' agency here. This is about taking the initiative. Just like the He-Man or the She-Ra doing things. And here are some definitions, quite clear. I think let's go over them together. In the context of professional learning, teacher agency is the capacity of teachers to act purposefully and constructively to direct their professional growth and contribute to the growth of their colleagues. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Aydın Hocam said that when you're describing yourself as a teacher, I'm a learner, lifelong learner. So the teacher should also be a learner. When you graduate from the Faculty of Education, you lack some experience, which you, start to gain in the upcoming years, but this never means that you're done with learning. So an agent teacher, the teacher with teacher professional agency continues with the professional learning, not doing it as a passive one, but taking the initiative, decisions to do that. What else? Teacher's professional agency refers to a teacher's intentional and responsible actions in a given situation, which form a new learning opportunity. Sometimes things may not be very ideal. Actually, life is like that. Just think about what we're going through. The pandemic, difficult times. So things and situations might be far from being perfect. So don't wait. Maybe you would be taking this step to, this responsible action to create a learning environment yourself. What else? In the meantime, when we're talking about this definitions of agency, okay, just think about what you do. I know you're tired. I know you're overloaded. You have a lot to deal with. Your job is not something that you leave at the workplace from 8:30 to 5. When you go home, it comes with you. Okay? When you're in the kitchen, it's with you. Eating, watching something is sitting right beside you. When you're in bed, it's there in the bed, whispering to your ear that you have to do something rather than sleeping or something like that. So it's quite tiring, I know that. So let's go ahead. Teacher agency is a concept that defines the teacher's commitments and capabilities of making decisions and taking actions which result in a change in the community of teaching. So rather than being a passive one, the teacher should be an active agent to try to do things to change, actually. Sometimes nobody will be there to ask your opinion, but maybe you should do that. Okay. Another one is the ability of teachers to make informed classroom and professional development decisions based on classroom needs, reflections, and considerations. Actually, this is more related with the qualifications of a teacher. If you love your job, you invest in yourself, then you continue with your professional development. Then you can make informed decisions. Evaluate the situation, your present teaching situation, reflect on it, and try to do something about it. What else? Another very basic definition might be the teacher's willingness and ability to take action and make changes. Okay? What do we talk about students? Do we want passive students who would just sit there, wait to do something? I mean, wait to be told what to do. Okay? We want active students, enthusiastic students. Well, the same thing applies to the teachers as well. Here are a few questions, okay? Let's have a look at them one by one. Do you think we need an educational reform? I mean, a general educational reform, and maybe particularly in English language teaching in our context? Or at least an educational reform that would improve the present one? Yes, okay. Okay, lots of yes, double S's, triple S's, which shows you're quite affirmative. Thank you. Well, who do you think should do that? You, okay. Teachers, academicians. Yeah. I mean, practically, who does that? Let me ask it in that way. Bottom up changes, yeah. Bottom up changes often more powerful. Always it is. Tony, we're going to talk about that. Good. I mean, there's this decision-making process, okay? Good. Definitely those teachers, educated and informed teachers. Because sometimes people complained, okay, but they don't invest much. Remember those teachers who are informed, well qualified, who can make informed decisions, taking into consideration. Good. Can I ask you a question? How much impact could you yourself have on changes in education? Little, much? Can I have Tony? That makes two of us. I'm going to come to that. I mean, do you yourself have, I mean, do you yourself feel that you have some impact? A little, maybe in the classroom. Good, great teachers. Lebdemeden. I'm so happy today. Okay. Now, that's the, I mean, generally, in any kind of educational change, reform, or improvement, the typical, well, generally it's top down. Sometimes there's little bottom up change as well, but this is somehow related to what Tony said. So what happens when you want to have some kind of educational reform or changes? The first step is, well, there are some global and national demands, okay? And then the Ministry of Education as the authority somehow decides to do something, okay, change something in contact with maybe some other ones. But that was the decision-making body actually mainly. And now what happens? I mean, this is the first one, but after each step in between, there's a filter, okay? Some of the particles go through the filter, but some of them don't. In the end, we will have the remaining one actually. So from one step to the other one, think that there's a filter, or kind of a barrier with some holes in it, okay, not totally open. So what happens then? Then maybe this is assigned to do an education board, okay? design the curriculum, okay, of the primary school, secondary school, or the syllabus for each year, learning goals, then some people are engaged in that. Generally, faculty members, sometimes some teachers working with them, giving some feedback. But of course, the number could be a lot limited. Okay, those people are already working somewhere, so they come together at intervals somehow, but they try to do their best and come up with a syllabus or whatever, learning goals with some aims. And then what happens after that? I mean, materials for teachers, okay, the publishing houses come. They just write some books, they just, I mean, submit it to the education board, whether it could be approved as a school. I'm talking about the main current practice in mainstream education. So the materials are somehow approved, maybe not with 100% satisfaction. And then what happens? We have the school culture. I mean, the administration have some ideas in their minds about what should be done. The colleagues. So you are one teacher, but you're in a school with other, with the administration in the school, with parents with some expectations, and other colleagues who are satisfied, or who are, how can I say, who would be uncomfortable when you do things differently, okay? And the socioeconomic context of the school, the students, or whatever. And then one more step later, what we have is the practicing teaching in the classroom. And no matter what you do, okay, at this top, maybe we should just tilt it a bit. What you do at the top down, what you have in the end is what the teacher does in the classroom after he or she closes the door. So any kind of curriculum change, I mean, big mottos, whatever, wouldn't be put into practice if the teacher is not committed. That's why bottom-up changes, or at least, yeah, there might be some top-down procedures, of course, but I mean, working with maybe larger groups, with informed teachers as well, but teachers should have a say in that. Some teachers actually, and after that, teachers should be informed about it, and at least they should, well, if they are not committed, okay, what we have, no change would reach to the classroom, okay, would be effective. So actually, in some cultures, educational cultures, this control is too tight. There's the central body that controls everything, that wants to learn about anything, and they have this, what can I say, standards, standardized exams, what else, a prescribed curricula, whatever. But can you please name me a country with, I mean, which is well known for the success in education? Okay, success in education in that country. Yeah, Finland. Okay, Finland is thought to be, yeah, definitely. For example, in Finland, there's this central, I mean, but well, there are some core guidelines, but they allow for local schools or initiative. But the culture might be different. In our country, maybe in our culture, maybe it would take us time to learn that. We generally have this, I mean, the government should prescribe or should have the limits. If you leave the local ones to do whatever they want, well, there might be some political problems as well. That might cause even bigger problems. Maybe that's why. So the school culture or the education culture is important for that. Maybe in our culture, we might not have that much bottom up, but in the decision making. But this doesn't mean that we cannot do any changes in our own personal classroom. Do you remember what was said? The last step is the teacher in the classroom. So what you do is what happens actually at the end of the day. So, of course, top-down approaches to educational reform might not be sustainable because they're unlikely to foster ownership and commitment with teachers in the first place. We want commitment of the teachers. We want the teachers to own these educational reforms so that they would put it into practice. Do you remember the first rule of classroom management? Remember, we say that as a teacher, if you want to have, good classroom management, you should create a code of conduct in the first lessons. Decide with your students what is appropriate, what is not in your classroom, how we would be behaving towards each other, treating each other. So why do we do that? Do you remember what we say to pre-service teachers? You should do that because when you set the rules with your students, they will have this ownership, they will understand it, and they will have the ownership, and they will, they wouldn't break the rules. So it's the same with teachers. So if there's this button-up one, from where the teachers have a say, of course, informed teachers, by the way, not those ones who just complain, but who don't contribute much, then we can have, an understanding of it. Then we can have more ownership and commitment. Educational reform efforts reliant on top-down approaches threaten teachers' sense of professional agency. If they're too tight, okay, you have to do this, finish this, take this exam, your students would take this, test or whatever, it might create some problems on teachers' professional agency, sense of identity. And of course, it might cause problems in motivation, self-efficacy, and job satisfaction as well, because you might feel that you're just sealed with a straight jacket, not being able to move about. Yeah, definitely a combination of a balance. We should, of course, have some central quality assurance standards, core guidelines, core outcomes, but also local flexibility would be better. And we may expect the teachers to renegotiate their status and the shift in their roles within the changing context of their school. Even if, sometimes the things are too controlled, let's ask about, can we still do something to change our current one? Of course, this is the ideal one. There should be a combination of both top-down and bottom-up approaches to improvement. Now, here were a group of questions again for you, okay? Now, I'm asking, how do you feel? Do you think you have a say in the decision-making process related to those things? How about school you work? Or how much you have a say in that, okay? To what percentage? How about your colleagues? By the way, let me check the chat box. By the way, in the same time, at the university level, more to say. You might, apply for a university. If you are accepted, then it might be considered that you have chosen your, teaching context. How about your colleagues? Okay, probably not. How about school administration? Educational institute and its administration, let me say. Okay. How much impact do you have on them? How much do you have, how do you have a say in those processes? Textbooks, course books? If you're studying with the Ministry of Education, I think the course books are local course books, and they're given to you. If I'm not mistaken, they're not very comfortable if you just ask for supplementary materials, thinking that this might be a financial burden on students. This might be even a problem for you. Even but in private schools, I don't think, teachers give their opinion, but sometimes they might have to work with textbooks or course books that they have not chosen. Possible. How about students? Do you choose your students? Yeah, good. How about exams? Okay, I mean, as a teacher within your classrooms, sometimes you decide on how to do assessment, or there might be some exams that are above your level, high stake exams, LGS, TEOK, with it. What else? I mean, there might be some other exams. In-service training, we talk about professional development. Sometimes teachers are expected to take some in-service trainings, and in Ministry of Education or in prep instructors in prep classes. Okay, yeah, you have if probably you're working at the university foundation year prep class, you might have a testing unit who works, independently. Good. So you might not be doing your own tests as well. Parents of the students, because parents are also always involved in the process. You do something and sometimes you have negative reactions from parents, and this might be a limitation. What else? How about the syllabus, the learning goals, materials, the facilities of the school, okay? And it goes to the eternity, okay? So in general, do you think you have much to say, much impact on them? Just a few example answers. Okay. Do you think you have more impact on them? I mean, quite more impact, or limited one? Which one? Okay, good. Let's move forward. So, if your students fail, it's not your fault. What can you do? Okay, you couldn't choose the textbook, you don't like the students, but you found them in the classroom, and they're horrible parents who think that they know how to teach English. And those school principal, that person you don't like much. See, the textbook, whatever. So, boo, poor you. Okay, you're just a victim, really. Okay, the same question again here. Just tell me, are you in charge of your destiny? I mean, would you take this sword, whatever, raise it and say that I have the power, I'm going to do something about it, fight back, try to change something? Or would you just sit there, whine and cry, like Küçük Emrah, because he was such a good guy, okay, but all the horrible things happened to him, his mother, or whatever? That's the question, actually, because this is not heaven. We are living on Earth, a planet, a poor planet, suffering from us, and we're suffering from each other. The things are never good. For example, here we live through this contradictory times. Things are different. Generally, things are far from being perfect, actually. So, let's be honest with you. So when things go wrong, okay, what do you do? I know things are not good because this is how things happen here in this life, okay? Things are never good. If there's something good, there's something wrong with it, okay? You might like to eat something and then you gain weight, for example. There's always a negative thing with even the positive ones, okay? So just be honest to yourself, okay? I'm not trying. No. An uprising in the classroom, okay, within the club, because we will be powerful there. Do you attribute success and failure to things you do, things you have control over? I did this, okay, I did this, then I failed kind of thing? Or do you put the blame on forces outside your influence, the external forces when you fail? You have a horrible marriage because it is because of your witch mother-in-law or something like that. I mean, do you believe that generally we reap what we sow? Sometimes we pay effort, okay? We do lots of things and then we gain something good. Or do you generally think that you're such a good guy, you're such a perfect person, but you're a victim because of all the horrible things that you cannot control? Maybe I should just here talk about a term, locus of control. I'm quite sure you have heard about it. Locus of control is describes the degree to which you think that outcomes result from your own behaviors or from forces that are external to you. Okay, so if you have an internal locus of control, you think that the outcomes are because of what you do. You're successful or you fail because of what you have done somehow. But if you have this external locus of control, this is not because of you, okay? Generally negative things, okay? When you fail, it's not because of you, because the teacher was unjust, because your principal was such a unpleasant person, let me say, or whatever. So just like the students, okay, some students are quite successful even under the most adverse circumstances because of their personality. They never give up, whatever. This is kind of a personality trait, actually. And remember what we said, individual teachers matter. I mean, teachers are persons as well. Okay, their attitude, the way they behave, the way they think affects what kind of a teacher they are as well. So we can say that your attitude matters. Okay, what you do when things happen. These things might be sometimes good, but sometimes bad. Things might be out of our control, but would we just sit and just cry and just complain and whine? Or, well, if we cannot change it in the global perspective, but can I change it in my local context, within my own sphere? Can I create a bubble with more clear air? Okay, nurturing environment. That's it. Just remember the definitions of professional agency. Remember that. You can add more, by the way. Just you can add more. Let's talk about what constraints it. Yeah, top-down changes. Choose the strict, tight regulations, prescribed curriculums, exams, or whatever. Negative collegial relationships. This is important. Who you work with. You might not choose when you go to a school or prep school, any educational institution. You might not have the chance to choose all your colleagues there, but the environment, okay, they create in the teacher's room is contagious. If they're always negative, okay, you would find yourself a negative person. So negative ones, not supporting ones, might also constrain, have negative influence on teacher agency. Unsupportive school administration, who doesn't understand what you want to do. The head teacher, within your group, subject group. Lack of initiative, if you're not given the chance. A one-size-fits-all program. You all know, and you're that teachers should be. What do we say to teachers? You might have a course book. Okay, no course book is perfect. They're just written for global, imaginative audiences. When you have a class with actual students, then you should be working on it, tailoring it. So no program fits everyone. No course book fits everyone. So they're not straight jackets. If you think that I have a book with 10 units to finish throughout the year, 5 the first term, 5 the other 5 on the second term, I'm going to finish the book. I have to finish this unit. Do this exercise, no matter what. Okay? They're not straitjackets. They're not holy books. Okay? Or this exam at the end of the term or at the end of the 8th grade, I don't know, the final one, just focusing on it. But while you are rushing towards finishing the textbook, you should, if you don't go look back, see who's following you. Well, this is not something that, this is not an agentic teacher, okay? Because your goal is not to finish the course book. The narrow time frames also constrain teacher agency. So what fosters it? What can nurture teacher's agency? Reflective practice, thinking about it. Thinking about it, what you do, whether it works, maybe what else you can do, thinking about that. A supportive school context, definitely. These are the colleagues. What else? The administration, the subject head teacher may be working with you. Building, well, research also says that building teachers' assessment literacy also helps. Most teachers, when it comes to assessment, okay, most teachers just tend to focus on this traditional pen and paper exams. In terms of language, which is for communication, a traditional pen and paper exam is so limited, so limited in scope. So assessment literacy might help. By the way, not all teachers are graduates of faculties of education. They might have this pedagogical certificate, which is a very short term actually. Some are born teachers. They make great teachers later. But even practicing teachers need to improve. So we can say that continuing professional development is definitely should be a goal. Collaboration, reflection, even this collaboration might be with the practicum school and the faculty, okay? And the relationships should build on trust, honesty, accountability, this rather than this toxic relationship between colleagues or within the school environment. Maybe a nurturing one would help that. In-service trainings definitely work, but choice in service trainings rather than everybody should take this Friday, we have this one, you're going to take this one. Maybe choice, because they might have different needs. So not only in service training, but also in other learning opportunities, variety and choice would probably improve motivation to do that, and also would be more relevant to their needs as well. Yes, as I said, a nurturing professional community. Actually, where are we now? I mean, who organized this event? Inget. So this is a nurturing professional community, being a member of a professional community like that. Rewards. Yeah, this is, I mean, very basic, but well, if you're in a school context, in an educational institution, and you do things perfectly, you're a good teacher, and there's this one who doesn't do anything, okay, being late to school, and nothing happens, okay, no one, I never say that that person should be whipped, okay, but if there's no reward for you, even a verbal one, appreciating you, how would you feel? Okay, so this reward, I mean, you should be appreciated, and if the teacher's attempts are appreciated, this matters as well. And this also a balance in tight, loose control in changes. So maybe this is the last one. What fosters teachers' agency the most is you, actually. Yes, of the list that I have mentioned. Some of them are not under your control. Okay, you cannot create. Maybe you can help to create, but you cannot create a nurturing school context all by yourself. Okay. However, as I've said, you were the last one in the classroom. Okay. Still, despite all odds, you can try to change something rather than being passive, being a victim. I mean, complaining about it. So we can say that, I mean, definitely those people who make decisions should emphasize some local flexibility, more teacher involvement in developing curriculums, maybe, but informed teachers, as I mean, who knows about it? Because sometimes ignorant people are the ones who criticize the most. What else? As teachers themselves, they should engage in thinking about the educational aims. What I want to do with this class, okay? What should I do to change? Teachers should make interpretations in response to the particular needs, interests, and talents of individuals and groups of students in their classes. Here is, teachers affect people. The teacher affects eternity. She can never tell where her or his influence ends. It was he, but I thought it was so sexist, so I kind of have both sexes here. I like being a teacher, having good relations with students. And despite all odds, under some adverse circumstances, still being an agentic teacher would be better because you would try to do some changes, sometimes with frustration, sometimes with happiness. Okay? Well, that's it. Thank you for listening. Now, comments, questions, anything you would like to share?
Gonca Hocam, thank you very much. I wrote a question in the chat box. So as the moderator, I have the privilege. So I'm going to ask my question first.
Yeah.
You said that a teacher who is an informed, a competent one should make this impact or should make decisions, whatever. Now, and you also said that ignorant teachers usually complain the most.
Yeah.
Don't you think that ignorant teachers think that they are informed and competent?
That's the problem, actually. Even informed teachers are more, how can I say, careful about what they say.
Yeah.
They always, suggest something, but they always ask questions to learn more. But those ones, okay, they're 100% sure that their comments are correct. I have actually talked to teachers, practicing teachers, whatever. Sometimes they don't know even the syllabus, the learning goals, but looking at the course book, a corner of it, they make a complaint and think that the whole thing is worthless. Yeah. And then they said, well, what can I do with this one, with those students and that limited time? Yeah. So putting the blame on, so this decision making, any kind of school reform, educational reform, they should be top down, and whenever possible, we should have this bottom up one as well. But this should come from informed teachers who are sincere in their attempts to make things better rather than just sit there and criticize. This is the easiest things in the world.
Yeah. Now, what I'm going to say is, unfortunately, these other group of teachers that I do not want to use any adjectives with, they are so aggressive whenever you want to approach them and try to, explain things or discuss things. They really get very defensive. Now,
even if you're humble.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's
humble,
why, you know me, I have a very sarcastic tone with them. And I'm a terribly rude person when it comes to those teachers because I don't like them at all. Now, what I have noticed, if you remember with your conference, I presented a paper there. Well, not a paper, but an observation. There I said the ministry imposed a curriculum. Well, the ministry doesn't know the curriculum, but still, it worked with some teachers, some academics, and they came up with a curriculum. And the curriculum is totally skills-based and communicative. However, well, the books are also in
No
line
book
with
is
the
perfect.
curriculum. Of course.
Somehow.
You know me. I mean, I'm a materials adaptation design person, so that's okay. But what these teachers do is when they see the books, without even checking the national curriculum, the national goals, they go like, no, 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 there is no simple present tense here. So I'm going to pre-teach. I'm going to spare at least 4 weeks to pre-teach this, and then I will do the unit. And then they start complaining that the book is so long, I cannot finish it.
I cite you in my classes.
Yes, please do,
I
because
remember,
you make it long.
You telling this anecdote.
Yes.
And I always say that, well, it is talking about likes and dislikes, for example, for young learners. Let's say, just as a chunk, knowing the function, you're not going to be teaching present simple tense.
Yes.
Your first, I mean, those probably in those informative sessions or in-service trainings, when you want to inform the teachers about this new curriculum, which is more communicative and skill-based, and you said that there were teachers who said, how can I teach have got, has got, there is, there are, whatever, and present simple tense in one unit? Nobody will be doing that. Okay, this is not the goal. Please go and check. Those teachers are more aggressive, as you say.
Yeah.
I mean, totally closed to change and negotiation. Defensive in an attacking way. How can I, would it make sense? But they're, because probably they don't feel safe. You're not patronizing them, maybe, okay? You're just humbly trying to do that. What you see is,
after a while you start patronizing them, because you definitely see that it's not going to work. I mean, being polite, being humble, being sensitive is not going to help. So you come up with a very strong voice, very sharp words, and then of course it gets even wilder. But Tony Hoca has a question here. Tony Hocam, why don't you ask your own question? Please unmute yourself and ask your question rather than me reading.
Canım hocam, teşekkür ederim.
You're more than welcome. Canım hocam.
Gonca hocam, I've written it there. I mean, the question I'm asking is really to get to the heart of what great teaching is. And things have evolved over the last 10 years or so. And we talk about pedagogic literacies, you know, teaching skills. We talk about learning literacies, really understanding what learning is. I mean, so much technological literacies. Now there's increased interest in what we might call the human literacies, you know, caring, humility, sense of humor, all of those things. They're kind of linked to personality and personal characteristics. But I noticed you also said something about the power of assessment literacies for a classroom teacher and the power of curriculum literacies. Yani, if you really understand the curriculum and how it's put together, if you can adapt it to your students, the same with assessment. If you can do good classroom assessment, that can actually improve the quality of your pedagogic literacies. Yeah.
What is learned in the end is what is assessed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You will be in the test, Hocam. You will be in the test. If you just have two pen and paper tests, they will learn only what you asked there.
Well, that's
so that's why a teacher's assessment literacy, I mean, probably would improve the teacher's practice a lot.
Oh, but totally. I mean, I'm a big fan of, you know, doing ungraded tests. You put the focus on giving students feedback, you know, on their mistakes, and you don't even worry about the test because the students naturally are getting feedback on those things.
Actually, what you do throughout the term matters. It's not just 1 or 2 activities, a session of sit down,
Totally.
don't look around kind of thing. Whatever you have done throughout the term.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, my question is, of all of those literacies, which ones do you think are at the core of great teaching or becoming a really good teacher?
Mine one.
Yeah, it could be 2 or 3. You don't have to say.
Well, actually, all of them, I mean, curriculum literacy, assessment literacy, human literacy, pedagogical literacy, knowing your students and how to teach them. This is the way I teach. I don't care whether you learn or not, is not the thing. Okay, you should teach the way your students learn. Well, all of them, I think, but incredibly, it all comes to the teacher himself or herself. Do you remember what I said? I mean, we've been talking about individual differences. The individual student matters because whatever you do, I mean, everything is the same. The course book, the teacher, whatever. Within the same classroom, if you have 20 students, you have 20 different success or failure, whatever, because the individual student is different. So, and it's the same with teacher. The individual teachers are different. How they care for their students, their ethics. How can I say? As I said, all the skills, literacies they have, and the personality of the teacher.
Okay, Hocam, I'm going to push you here because you're not answering my question.
Because I think all of them are. Do you ask for me?
Tamam, but for you,
if I have to grade it, I would start with pedagogical skills, assessment, then, well, human literacy, it couldn't, well, definitely caring for their students as persons. Maybe it can even be on the first place. If they care for it, for them, probably they would just do, and because you do things for the ones you love, you care for. Yeah, it couldn't be even on the 3rd place.
Okay, now you answered my question. Thank you, Hocam.
Well, yeah, all of them. Well, in my opinion, all of them are quite so important. I like maybe putting your students in a place that you care for all of them.
Yeah, and a lot of
you would do things. I mean, you would spend time and effort, okay, for the ones whom you care for.
Okay.
That's what a lot of the research is saying these days, isn't it? Especially when it comes to remote classrooms. That's been the missing link.
Definitely. I was very unhappy seeing myself with no other faces. No one would be answering me back. Just a few lines on the chat box.
Okay, I have other questions here. Orhan Hocam, have you decided not to ask the question? Is that why you just deleted your erase there? Okay.
Okay, I didn't want to keep my hand up, Hocam, for a long time.
I'm a very attentive teacher. I have seen your hand, and I can also see Duygu Hoca's hand. So
you're very sensitive, Hocam. All right. First of all, thank you, Gonca Hocam, for this great presentation.
You're welcome.
Quite informative, really.
Because it was so nice to be here with you.
Thank you, Hocam. Well, in your presentation, Hocam, I guess for me, I found 2 very striking points, keywords. One is being initiative, and the other one is motivation.
Teaching motivation, you mean?
Yeah, teaching motivation. Actually, as teachers, we should take initiation in any kind of decision making process in the process of teaching, in selecting the books, in designing the curriculum, in whatever, but this of course has consequences. Some of us avoid avoid taking initiation. I mean, thinking that, you know, some others might think adversely, contrarily, and we have got some, you know, let's say drawbacks about the administration, so on, etc. Do you also think that we should, I mean, teachers should be more brave to, let's say in Turkish, to put their hands
Take
under the
initiative.
stone?
Well, let me tell you what I say to my students, pre-service teachers. I ask them, when do you think they would start, I mean, their professional life? 20 something, okay? The first half of the 20s. Okay, when do you think you will get retired? After 60, if I'm not mistaken, 40 years. 40 years is too long to satisfy other people or just to lie around, not do anything. You have to be satisfied with what you do. Otherwise, if you just look at the clock, okay, count back for the break time. I mean, if you hate the time you spent in the class, 45 minutes, all those 45 minutes, if you hate whatever, probably you will get cancer and die before you get retired, okay? So this is what I tell them, 40 years. Well, this is, am I right? Today, who starts work up to 60s or something like that? So it is too long. I mean, satisfaction comes from success. If you feel that your students have improved, okay, they cannot talk, they like English now. They can talk English. I have a good relationship with them, rapport in the classroom, then you would be happy. Otherwise, it is too long to be unhappy, complaining, being, I mean, well, putting the blame on other people, just sitting there, okay, complaining or whatever. Everything is horrible. The coursework is horrible. The ministry, I mean, the curriculum is whatever. Who wrote this kind of thing? Well, it's up to you. You can spend your time and probably you will get the cancer in the end, okay? Because of such unhappiness. You have to resist, okay? There might be things that you don't like, but at least in your local, I mean, bubble, your classroom is your bubble with clean air, okay?
Well, I guess maybe we can say if you cannot do what you like, maybe you should try to like what you do. Otherwise, go and find another job. You know, you don't
Now, if you
have
believe
to be a teacher, right?
teacher.
Yeah. Duygu
Others hate
hocam,
that really. Some people hate being a teacher, but they just still sit there.
I know, and
Because
I hate
it's
them.
comfortable,
I
actually.
hate them. They deserve any kind of hate that we have.
Definitely.
Gonca hocam, Duygu hocam has been raising her hand for like a century now. So shall I just ask her to make the comment or ask her question? Duygu hocam, go ahead.
I was just going to make a comment, not really a question, going back to the discussion that Tony started and, you know, the whole thing about the curriculum and the priority of skills. I think that, you know, what you mentioned, the personality skills are also really important in the classroom nowadays because we are speaking to a screen and the students have their cameras off. So in order to get that kind of connection, we have to take risks. And the students are not used to this because they're used to a teacher-centered, classic grammar-based, you know, lesson. And when the teacher asks a question, it could be an open-ended question, any kind of question. They hesitate because they don't want to be the center of attention. So they have to feel safe to be able to be the first one to answer the question, even not even ask one, but just answer the question. And once one student feels comfortable, you know, answering the question or discussing things, then maybe another one, you know, continues with that, and then another one, and it becomes like a chain, a cycle, a domino effect, really, because they just need that kind of encouragement a little bit. But with the curriculum, the thing is, what you mentioned about the grammar-based teachers who actually skip the skills section all the time. The reason why they do that in our school as well, like, for example, let's say there's a speaking section at the end of the unit, right? Everybody skips that. Why? They think that grammar is more important. And of course, they feel more in control. They don't feel comfortable speaking with the students or, showing any, because they might ask questions and they might not have the answer to it. It's a risk. And so what do they know? They know grammar. They know present simple. They know present perfect. They're aware of this. With speaking, I mean, some teachers feel confident, and it depends on, the level of the teacher, of course, and how much that person wants to be a teacher. But many others, they don't want to be teachers, or they're just in this job and they're just doing a 9-to-5 routine job, right? So they see no point in taking these risks, taking the initiative, having that, Shira power, I think. And a lot of my friends, colleagues, when we're doing even the weekend courses to adult students, teaching them general English, for example, they look at the course book and they say, oh, how do they teach grammar? It's so confusing here. There's too much speaking and communicative activities. Do they really need to know idioms? Do they really need to know these phrasal verbs? Let's just skip this part. It's okay if they don't know, these certain expressions. And so we end up teaching grammar.
Can I talk about a personal anecdote about this grammar thing? The thing is, those teachers who complain, whatever, Tony, it just went up quite quickly, but I just caught some keywords. They do the minimum and it's comfortable. Yes, they do the minimum, don't take any risks, okay? But eventually they're unhappy because of what they do actually. I started as an instructor at the prep school 20 more years ago. And when I was a novice instructor in my first or second year, there was this prep class, prep year of Gazi University. And the thing was, we had 1 year, 8 months actually, from September to, let's say, June or May, whatever. Within this period, starting with students who are really, really false beginners or just, zero beginners, the thing was we will be finishing an upper intermediate course book. Okay, it was the 5th course book, but the idea was that finish the course book. And remember, that was the common practice when I came. I thought it was a bit stupid because we were rushing to do that. And just like you said, when we had time constraints, okay, don't do the listening kind of thing, just the grammar. And I also remember handing out worksheets about participles and inversion because they were not in the upper intermediate course book. Who cares? Okay, inversion. We should be teaching inversion. Who learned it? Well, I don't care. And hand out about inversion and participles. Okay, a very brief one without context, just the rule and simple sentences. And the idea was that we have taught it. But now what happens is, today, the prep class at Gazi University has skill-based exams. If there's some grammar, little things, this is generally handled in quizzes. Okay, so that's the change came through the instructors actually. Okay, it was based on experience. Okay, in time we said that, well, nobody is coming with us when we're finishing this book. Okay, because it's not possible when you're as a real beginner. A B1 level, okay, attainment at all skills is quite satisfactory. So why are we rushing? And that stupid worksheets, okay, one tiny bit of grammar point that was left out, okay, trying to somehow insert it. It's pointless, okay, just leave it alone. Put it somewhere. The grammar is not our ultimate goal. It's the means to an end kind of thing. Now we have, totally a skill-based program. I'm not there, but I was there a few years ago as a vice director, and I have friends there. I know how things are going. Again, things are not perfect. especially through this emergency remote teaching. Okay, they had problems. But the idea is skill-based. Who made the change? The instructors. Okay, who were not comfortable with what they're doing because they are not getting the results. As I said, you won't be happy as a teacher if your students are not happy in your classroom, if they're not successful at the end of the term, if you don't see their progress and be happy with it. Okay, they can do this now and I help them. Okay, that's it. So
Gonca
change.
Hocam, I have noticed something here. Can we clarify that? Gonca Hocam said personality skills. Do we have personality skills? Or is it personality?
Personality of the teacher. And
Yeah,
that was
Personality of the
something I
teacher.
think
Empathy
Okay.
skills, maybe.
Well, I had to check because I might have missed that part. Because as far as I remember, you talked about curriculum literacy, assessment literacy, and this literacy. That is, I cannot remember them all, but you never mentioned anything related to that. So about that, is it possible to change the personality of a teacher, of someone?
No, not much. Well, that's why probably I said individual teachers matter, because some of them are really born as teachers.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of them not fit for the job, but they're there. They receive a salary. They don't do much. How can we say? Too much job security is counterproductive. Let me put it in this way.
Yeah,
No matter what I do,
understand
I'll
that,
be a teacher. I'll
but
get my
I
salary.
guess you're talking about government employees here.
Yes.
You're not talking about private school teachers because they
Actually
either get their contract renewed or not.
Well,
Every
there's
year.
the other way around, and it's
Yeah.
worse again. I mean, the democracy sword on your swinging
Yeah.
on your head. You don't know when you will have this end of contract. Okay,
Yeah.
they're too demanding, not caring for you much. I mean, no job security at all is quite threatening.
So there's
Totally
no balance. Huh?
penalizing the teacher.
Mm.
Okay, no teacher agency again. And on the other end of the scale, this end, very end, you have too much job security. 657. Okay, nothing will happen to you. Even if you do some very horrible things, they change your school.
Okay.
This is horrible again.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, the private schools is
Can
too
I
difficult.
ask my colleagues whether they believe, can you please write in the chat box whether you believe that a personality can change?
Yeah, let me read, and I have
Can you please? No, I'm just curious because I do believe that maybe you cannot change your personality, but you can polish up your personality.
Because it is not accepted.
Yes, yeah. If you're a teacher and if you know that there are certain attributes that are related to being a teacher, then maybe you can just, try things. I'm not saying that you can, but let's see what people have a say in this.
Take it until you make it. Well, if you know that it would never be approved, okay, you wouldn't be just behaving in that way. You would try to do the things that would be accepted, appreciated. This is kind of related with.
Yes. I totally agree with Duygu Hocam because she says accept criticism or go out of your comfort zone. Yeah, that's so true. Well, Ali Hocam says great changes require trauma. Well, some traumas are good, Ali Hocam, believe me. If the person can change, if the person
Personality
Hmm.
can teacher candidates' personality will be tested? Well, it's real not only for teachers, for all people's job,
Yeah.
nurses, doctors.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean, that
people
person
have
in the
very nice notes in the chat box. Gonca Hocam. Özlem Hocam, for example, says, in my opinion, personality can improve and develop if people try to change. So it should come from the person, the individual, rather than being imposed upon. See,
well,
it's always nice to see what people think. Arzu Hocam, can you see the chat box?
yes, yes. Üzüm üzüme baka baka kar. This is also important. That's why your colleagues are important. The classroom, I mean, the
Yes.
culture of the institution. What is approved there? Okay, appreciated.
Yeah.
What is not? Then your personality might not be in that way, but you couldn't be free to express yourself, behave the way you would just care, because nobody would allow that. You have to, you have to abide by the classroom, the culture there.
Yeah. One thing though, üzüm üzüme baka baka kararır has always been interpreted in the negative manner. So
But it's
üzüm
also
should
positive.
also be the nice one, you know? So why is it always that the bad üzüm influences the good üzüm and not vice versa? Do you remember at Gazi, I would have lots of guest students in my classroom. Do you remember those days? People would come, students would come and say,
Probably.
Hocam, I would
I
love
have taken
to.
PhD courses from you.
But you were working at Gazi. That's why I'm saying I'm not reminding you that you were my student.
No. When I
By the
was
way,
in the
she was an
department,
excellent student, guys. She was an excellent
Thank you.
student.
Thank you. I'm flattered.
But
Hocam, when you
now I
were
look
there-
even older. I mean, look at me. I have a professor student in front of me. But I was very young
was
at
at the
that.
when you were in the department, I was doing PhD, but I was at the prep.
Okay.
school.
Okay.
That was
Because sometimes students make that decision. They come to the teacher and say, Hocam, I want to observe your classroom. I want to observe your class because our teacher sucks and I cannot learn from him or her, let's say them. So is it okay? Normally at university level, it is not allowed, you know. You can only attend to your own group sessions. But I even had students from Middle East Technical University. I had students from Hacettepe University staying in the same dorm because they would see each other and say, what are you doing? I'm preparing materials for teaching English to young learners. Oh, we have never done that. Can I come and observe? So students can be demanding, but they need to see a good model. When they see a good model, they can go to their teacher and say, hey, why aren't you doing that? In practicum, it happens as well, you know?
As long as they're
So,
not afraid of the teacher. If they're afraid or if the teacher is intimidating and not open, you know.
I know,
yeah,
but at least, Duygu Hocam, at least they would know that this is not the only type of teacher in this world.
Yeah.
There are other types of teachers, and in fact, learning can be fun with those teachers. I believe Gonca Hocam's session all triggered our desire to get this out of our chest, I believe. That's why we cannot just keep our mouth shut. Me, I'm talking about myself. Well, are there any other questions? Because Gonca Hocam is extremely tired today.
No.
Well, you have mentioned your daily schedule and you scared me to death. So if you have any questions, I will ask them, or let's finish it so that she can get a nice rest. I can't see any more questions, Gonca Hocam.
Thank you.
People are thanking you for this very
pleasure.
informative session. Yes, Gonca Hocam, listening
It
to you.
was a pleasure. Okay. I know that everyone here had the same feelings. Okay. Because we are here because we want to do something. We want to be teachers who can take action and change things.
Yeah.
A little bit, maybe.
May I say something, Aydan Hocam?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course. Hocam.
I missed your one of your presentations a couple of weeks ago because I just I was 1 minute late, and the capacity was over. Participants, I mean, the system didn't accept any more participants. This time, not to miss Gonca Hocam's presentation, I set my Zoom half an hour earlier. And it was ready. I waited at the door.
I saw
Then,
your
as
name.
soon as it started, I jumped into
Thank
it.
you, Orhan Hocam.
Well, unfortunately, we cannot get the version where you don't have a person limit. As you know, our association is not that rich. But at least we have the videos on our YouTube channel. So if you're
Yeah, we
really
are watching, Hocam.
interested,
We are watching.
you can, watch them, and you can even enjoy them, here, for example, since it's live or since it's being recorded, we sometimes, be extremely careful about what we say and what we do. You can get your coffee, tea, maybe some cookies and goodies, and then enjoy the video. Gonca Hocam, people are thanking you, and I do thank you very much. It has always been a pleasure to be with you, to talk to you, to listen to you. And of course, as one of your instructors, professors in the past, I do feel a little bit proud now.
Thank you. I'm flattered, Hocam. Really.
Well,
It's always a
I'm
pleasure to
spoiling
be-
myself. Well, unfortunately, as you know, I always say the miracle is not with me, because if it was, I would have all of my students as professors today. So it is you who succeeded. But if I had any
But
contribution,
you are always an inspiration, Hocam.
thank you very much. That's
Thank you.
why I had to say that. Flatter me, flatter me.
And I'm
Gonca Hocam, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening,
And
everyone.
hopefully we will get another session with you, maybe
whenever
the
you
next
want.
season, though. We are
Mhm.
we are getting close to our summer vacation, if summer ever comes.
I
Yeah. And my dear colleagues, thanks a million for being with us, for supporting us. Without you, what would I do? Take very good care of yourselves and
Thank
stay healthy and safe.
Thank
Hope
you.
to see you next
Good evening,
week.
everyone. Yes. Hope to see you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.